Good morning, beloveds. So at the last minute, Nicholas did become a hurricane, uh, but barely, and hit south of us. And we've been watching the news, and for the most part, it doesn't seem there are a whole lot of people that don't have power right now. But mostly, it seems like this one just kind of this was a grace. This was a grace. So we will keep an eye on what's going on and see if anybody needs anything. And obviously we're going to treat for the power line, the linemen, the power people, so that, all of the people, because it's now currently headed for Louisiana and they don't need it. So we really need all that wind to go the other way, because out west they need the rain and we do not. We've had a very wet summer, and Louisiana certainly doesn't need it because Ida wasn't that long ago. So that's what's going on. I know our power. I know our power blinked at least twice. It may have been off for longer. Honestly, I slept through it. The only reason that I know that it was off is because I woke up in the middle of the night and realized that a little fan next to me wasn't going, so I turned it back on. And then I woke up at 7 o'clock this morning. My alarm goes off at 6:15. And I went, because I literally cannot see my alarm. So I couldn't even tell it was blinking. So I woke up at 7 o'clock this morning. My alarm goes off at 6:15. I was like, oh, the power must have gone out again. So I don't know how long it was out. But I do live fairly far. I live over an hour away from the water, so that helps a lot. So just treat for the power people, treat for the linemen who are going to go out and get the power restored for all of the people that currently don't have power, because there's a lot of people, especially along the coast. The coast took the brunt of this. Thankfully, like I said, it was only a Cat 1 and barely a Cat 1 hurricane. So that's what's going on. Now let's get on to 365 Days of Richer Living. Because we were watching the 10 o'clock news and he says Hurricane Nicholas and we went, wait, when did that happen? Yeah. All right. Oh, no, it is not the 13th. It is the 14th? Yes, it is the 14th. Which now makes me question whether I put the date on this right. But I think I did. All right. It is September 14th. Divine power is mine to use. And our quote is, the perfect man is spirit-like. Great lakes might be boiling about him, and he would not feel their heat. The Ho and the Han might be frozen up, and he would not feel the cold. The hurrying thunderbolts might split the mountains, and the wind shake the ocean, without being able to make him afraid. And that's from Wang Zi. Which is very appropriate for the hurricane. Because, I think both Tom and I slept through it. He woke up when the power went out. I slept through it. All right. Everything in nature is an individualization of one coordinating life, one law of being, and one presence. But our minds have become so filled with that which contradicts this that even the truth has to wait our recognition. You must learn to become consciously aware of the divine presence and the divine power, the wholeness of truth, of love, of reason, and of a sound mind. Instead of dwelling on negative thoughts, cause your mind to dwell on peace and joy. Know that the power of the invisible spirit is working in and through you now, at this very moment. Lay hold of this realization with complete certainty. Say, I know that I am a perfect being now, living under perfect conditions today. Knowing that good alone is real, I know that there is one power which acts and reacts in my experience, in my body, and in my thought. I know that good alone has power either to act or react. I know that this recognition establishes the law of harmony in my experience. the law of prosperity, a sense of happiness, peace, health, and joy. Today, I hold a communion with this invisible presence which peoples the world with the manifestations of its life, its light, and love. I withdraw the veil which hides my real self and draw close to Spirit in everything, and in everyone. I accept everything that belongs to this Spirit. I claim everything that partakes of its nature. All right. So let's go back to this thought where it says, instead of dwelling on negative thoughts. So notice he says, instead of dwelling on negative thoughts. He doesn't say don't have negative thoughts, because we're going to have negative thoughts. It's going to happen. But the idea is to ride them out. I do not surf, but that is the analogy that has been given is you surf negative thoughts. You allow them to come in, you look at them, and then you allow them to go out. You don't hold on to them. So you don't dwell on the negative thoughts. What you want to do is when the situation brings up negative thoughts, look at them, because there may be something you need to do about them. There may be a situation that you need to take action on. So you want to look at them. You don't want to ignore them. You do want to acknowledge them, and you want to say, okay, this is information. What is required of me in this moment? Is there anything that I need to do about this? If there's something that you need to do, then you do it. And if there's nothing that you can do, then you let the thought go and you move on to the next thought. Now, ideally, you allow all of your thoughts to come and go, but you want to hold on to the positive thoughts. You want to dwell on those. You want to build your house on positive thoughts. It doesn't mean you're not going to have that negative thoughts. But what the idea is not to hold on to them. It's not to hold on to them. Because when positive thoughts come up, sometimes it means that there's stuff to do. So it's the same thing. We just want to hang on to the positive thoughts and let the negative thoughts go. So don't beat yourself up if you have a negative thought. Okay? We are human. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are going to have negative thoughts. Sometimes what those negative thoughts are they are prods to action. They are things where we need to go and do something. And we, until we have that thought, we don't, it's like you're sitting there and all of a sudden you realize you're uncomfortable and you're like, well, then why am I sitting here? Let me get up and go. So negative thoughts have a purpose. They have a point. And we don't want to ignore them because they may be a call to action. They may prod us into doing something that we wouldn't do otherwise. We just don't want to dwell on them. All right? So that's really what it is. Don't dwell on the negative thoughts. You're going to have them, and that's okay. Don't dwell on them. Take the action required and let them go. So I think that's super important. Because we are a positive thought movement. We really do want to focus on our positive thoughts, but we don't ignore the negative thoughts, and we don't beat ourselves up for having negative thoughts. We acknowledge that we have them, we take the action required, and then we let them go. And then we focus on the positive. All right? There is this thing called toxic positivity, and that's when you exclusively focus on the positive and you completely ignore the negative, and then stuff doesn't get done. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Negative thoughts happen. It's okay. They are often calls to action. They are requiring something of us. What we don't want to do is we don't want to dwell on them. We don't want to wallow in them. We don't want them to be the only thing we think about. We want to look at them, go, okay, and then we look and see, all right, well, what can I do about this? And sometimes there's nothing we can do. Sometimes it's just, okay, this is the way it is. And we acknowledge that, and then we move on. All right, so that's what jumped out at me in this reading. There's probably a lot more in it, and maybe another day I would see something different, and maybe you saw something different. That's the benefit of this. But if you're watching this, what you're getting is what jumps out at me. So, divine power is mine to use. And Ernest says this a lot in a lot of different ways. And the philosopher Wang Zi, I like this one because, like I said, I relate to it from the hurricane standpoint. The perfect man is spirit-like. Great lakes might boil about him and he would not feel their heat. The Ho and the Han might be frozen up and he would not feel the cold. The hurrying thunderbolts might split mountains and the wind shake the ocean without being able to make him be afraid. So when you know who you are, which is a beloved child of God, when you know what you're made of, when you know what you have access to, which is the divine power, then you know that you have everything you need to handle whatever situation you walk into. That's what that reading to me, that's what that quote to me means. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just means when it does happen, you have the resources that you need to get through it. And sometimes that's people, sometimes that's things, sometimes it's just an attitude. They say change your thinking, change your life. Well, sometimes it's change your attitude, change your life. So, all right. Everything in nature is an individualization of one coordinating life, one law of being, and one presence. We're all made of the same stuff. Like literally everything around us is made of the same stuff. But our minds have become so filled with that which contradicts this that even the truth has to await our recognition. We're confused. We're confused. We look at the material world and we get confused. So we have to ground and center and do our spiritual work and remember who we are. And sometimes we have to remind each other who we are. You must learn to become consciously aware of the divine presence and the divine power, the wholeness of truth, of love, of reason, and of sound mind. That is the point of spiritual practice. That is why we set aside time every day to be in the presence, to feel that power, to feel that love. That's what the point of spiritual practice is. All right. Instead of dwelling on negative thoughts, cause your mind to dwell on peace and joy. All right. So instead of dwelling on, deal with them. Acknowledge them. Look at them. What do I need to do about this? But I'm not going to dwell on it. I am going to dwell on peace and joy. All right. Know that the power of the invisible spirit is working in and through you now at this very moment. And that's the beautiful thing. When you have a negative thought, you can immediately follow that up by, this is just information. What is it that spirit requires of me to do now? Or you, in that case, or you can also say, I'm having a negative thought, spirit, and ask for spirit's help. What can I do about this situation so that I don't have this thought anymore? Because spirit will guide you. That's what that line is saying. Spirit will guide you. Whatever it is, you'll get the guidance. Lay hold of this realization with complete certainty. Spirit is with you. Spirit is with you. Lay hold of this with complete certainty. Say, all right, here are our treatments, our power statements. Please feel free to use any and all of this. Pick one line out and use it as your affirmation for the day, your mantra for the day, or use the whole thing in a treatment. I know that I am a perfect being now, living under perfect conditions today. Perfect means whole, not flawless. It doesn't mean things won't go wrong. It just means it's all included. All right? Knowing that good alone is real, I know that there is one power which acts and reacts in my experience, in my body, and in my thoughts. The only power in you is the power of good. Sometimes we misuse it, but it is still good power. We just have to stop, look, listen, and change the way we're using it. I know that good alone has I know that this recognition establishes the law of harmony in my experience, the law of prosperity, a sense of happiness, peace, health, and joy. This recognition is knowing who you are, knowing that you are a beloved child of God, knowing that you are a godling, to use Reverend Jesse's word, knowing who you are, knowing where the power comes from, knowing that we are divine distribution centers, that the power flows through us. And then anything's possible because it's coming from an inexhaustible source. So that recognition is who we are, who we're connected to, where the power is coming from, and the fact that it will never run out. Today, I hold a communion with this invisible presence which peoples the world with manifestations of its light, its life, its love. Okay, so this invisible presence, which now I'm going, oh yeah, everything around me is this same light. Everything around me is made from this same life. Everything around me has the power to be happy. And I can get out of its way. I withdraw the veil which hides my real self and draw close to the Spirit in everything and in everyone. When I look in every being's eyes, including my own, I see God looking back at me. Try it. It's an interesting exercise. I accept everything that belongs to the Spirit. I claim everything that partakes of its nature. All right. The mission today, should we choose to accept it, I'm going back to that one. The mission today, should we choose to accept it, is to not dwell on the negative thoughts, to recognize, to acknowledge, to take action, but not to dwell on the negative thoughts, to instead focus on the presence and dwell on the positive thoughts. That's the mission. That is the mission, should we choose to accept it. It is the recognition of Spirit, the understanding that when we have negative thoughts, we have the power to do something about them. All right? And as always, I do encourage you to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself, whatever that looks like. If you do choose to get out and you are in this area, please be cautious. It sounds like the roads are probably going to be okay other than wet, but be careful. Be careful. We would like each and every one of you to get where you're going safely. I'm going to try and leave a little early. I only have to cross one gully that I know about. So, and they just recently widened it, so it should be good. So whatever is kind, whatever is compassionate, whatever is loving, do that for yourself every single day. 1, you deserve your own loving, kind compassion. 2, the more you practice on yourself, it becomes more permanent. You also bank it up, and then you have it to share. So when you look in the eyes of somebody and you're going, oh God, how could I look at this person and see God looking back at me because they're just driving me crazy? You have the bank to draw on. You have that kindness, you have that compassion, you have that loving, so that you can hold for them who they are until they remember it themselves. It's a two-pronged activity here. That's why I want you to practice on yourself. 1, you're a godling and you deserve it. 2, it gives you more to spare. All right. This is 2 days in a row that I have not been able to engage my mind and body the way I choose because it's wet. But I did do my physical therapy. So whatever it is that you do to engage your mind and your body, please do that. Again, no sunlight, but early morning sun, still a good thing, even through clouds. Drink plenty of water. I know that it's starting to cool off here, but still, hydrate. Drink plenty of water. And know that you're loved. Know that you're loved. So I would encourage you to have a great day, a fantastic day, an amazing day, a wonderful day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day. It's Tuesday. Pretty sure it's Tuesday. As far as I know, there's nothing special going on. No classes or anything. For sure. We do have a really amazing soul session tomorrow. So I do encourage you to watch out for the soul session. That will be on Facebook Live via Zoom. We're excited about that. Denise is amazing, and so it'll be interesting to watch her and Jesse have a conversation about the law and people and love. So please join us for that, and it'll be on YouTube later. The good news about the soul sessions is generally I can just download them and upload them. I don't have to do any editing. So they're available on YouTube pretty quick. So Reverend David should be on Facebook Live around 5 p.m. with you guys. I will be back at 9 a.m. barring anything unusual. And you can always catch us on the social medias. Creative Life Spiritual Center on Facebook and YouTube, and Creative Life Spark on Instagram. And then I am the Running Rev Ryan on all 3 platforms. So check us out. Do what you need to do. Know that you are loved. Until next time, have a great day.